Good afternoon and welcome to the North 65 Chamber of Commerce monthly meeting. I'm Melissa Bettendorf. I'm the Executive Director, and I'm joined by Assistant Director Vanessa Hansel, who will be co-facilitating today's meeting with me. We will be recording the presentation and Q&A session of this meeting. We'll stop the recording following the Q&A session, and at that time you'll have the opportunity to introduce yourself and share updates from your organization. You're encouraged to put your comments and questions in the chat as we move through the presentation, or ask them by unmuting during the Q&A session. And now I'd like to introduce today's speaker, Julia Lyons, Isanti County Administrator, and who will be sharing a State of the County address with us. Please join me in welcoming Julia Lyons.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I am honored to be here and share a little bit about this past year that I've had at the county. So I'll just go ahead and share my screen. All right, can everyone see that? Okay. So let's see. Here we go. So just a little bit about me quickly. I grew up in North Branch, Minnesota, so just right down the road. I attended the U of M and then William Mitchell College of Law. I had about 11 years practicing primarily insurance defense litigation in the metro area. And then I came to Cambridge Isanti School District as the Human Resources Director and kind of an in-house counsel sort of role with the school district. And I was very happy there, and I would still be there today if Sheriff Culk had not sent me the job description of Isanti County Administrator, and I didn't know what that job was. But I read it, and I thought it sounded like an amazing opportunity. So I started here at the county on January 27th, 2020, so just a little over a year. And it's been quite a year. This is my dorky hotel room selfie. Last early February, I was at a legislative conference, and I was just so excited about learning what it is that county administrators do and that what county board of commissioners do. So I was down meeting our senators and representatives and just really making plans to just move really slowly and get to know everyone at the county and just kind of take things in. And then, of course, we all know what happened next. Shortly thereafter, the world was kind of turned upside down, and we found ourselves in the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. So I just kind of included in here, never let a good crisis go to waste, because I do think a number of opportunities came along with the unfortunate pandemic. So Isanti County's role in the pandemic response is to be the public health resource for the county. Public health has worked really closely with the schools, with the businesses, with the residents of the county to get the PPE that was needed and to make plans for reopening. The government center closed for a bit of time there. We declared an emergency here at the government center so we could get the safe guards in place, which I am sure many of you did as well. But one thing that became pretty clear to me as we started to respond to this pandemic was that there was a number of organizational challenges within the county. And just to kind of put it in general terms, and this is no one's fault, so I definitely don't want to be making it sound like I'm putting blame towards anyone previously working here, but there was just a very kind of old-fashioned siloed approach to the way that the different departments operated here. And when we found ourselves in the middle of the pandemic, it was very apparent that even sometimes county employees didn't know each other. They didn't understand what the other departments did. They really just stayed in their own little department and did not interact with other people. So then when we're in a situation where we need more hands and we need more collaboration, it was just very unnatural. So I took the opportunity to present the idea to the board of doing an organizational study. And with that study, came some recommendations to change from 17 different departments into 4 or 5 different divisions. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that a little later on in the presentation, but I just kind of wanted to highlight the reason that the board did that, made that decision in the middle of the COVID-19 response is because it was kind of glaringly apparent that we needed better collaboration and better just better experiences within county operations, which will then translate to much better customer service for the residents that need the county services. So that study started in the summer of 2020 and was completed in the fall. And as I said, we'll kind of come back to that here in a minute. So Isanti County received $4.8 million in CARES relief last year. And the way that the board decided to allocate that out was for $2.9 million in county infrastructure. A big part of that was some construction upgrades to our courtrooms, some technology upgrades. You may know that court has pretty much been 100% virtual for the past year. So just finally getting those updated technology so that we can continue to keep the justice system moving, as well as just technology in other parts of the county, and of course the PPE and reimbursement for public safety and public health payroll costs. We did do a lot of small business relief efforts, and I have a separate slide on that one too. We are happy to have supported our public schools, $300,000 in this first round, and then we were able to do a second round of relief for schools. And then we partnered with Lakes and Pines to administer some individual housing relief. So Lakes and Pines took those applications and processed them, so that worked out very well. Small business and nonprofit relief, we've done 3 rounds. The first round, 37 grants were awarded of up to $10,000. The second round, that was aimed just at the businesses that were shut down by governor order. So that was an easy one because if you fit into that category, you got the grants, and those were $5,000 grants, and 41 were awarded. And then we had a third round of relief from the state of Minnesota, and we were able to award 77 grants of up to $15,000. So we did all of this internally, and so it took a lot of staff time and effort, but we were really committed to keeping these dollars local. If we didn't award these grants, we would have had to send it back to the state, and I'm sure they would have found good use for it, but definitely happy to keep that local. Vaccine clinics are really the focus of, for sure, the Health and Human Services Division right now. We started out small. We just had that first picture you see there, that was our first clinic in downstairs at the government center. And then we had a couple drive-through clinics at the sheriff's office. And then now we have switched to a larger scale vaccine clinic at Cambridge Middle School, which again, super thankful for the school's partnership. Some of the school nurses are helping us out, and we're using that facility, which has been amazing. Our public health team has vaccinated 6,700 people so far, and that's about 57% of the 65 plus population. So we still have a way to go, but every time that they do a clinic, they're learning and they're adjusting, and it's really just a phenomenal accomplishment that we have this small team facilitating these large scale clinics. So the priority groups, the restrictions are starting to loosen up. So if you are someone interested in a vaccine, or you know someone who's been waiting for a vaccine, you'll be happy to know that it'll be easier to get in and get scheduled as we move forward, and we're finishing out these one priority groups. Education and healthcare workers, and then of course the 65 plus population, but now it's opening up to more individuals, so we'll be able to get through more people soon. We're continuing these clinics at Cambridge Middle School through the end of the month, and then we are trying a couple other locations. There's one scheduled at the New Hope Church beginning of April, and then as it gets warmer, we will utilize the county fairgrounds to be able to get more people in an efficient manner. One of the barriers at Cambridge Middle School is just the parking. People are trying to park where buses park, and we're good, Minnesotans who like to follow the rules and stay within the lines, but the cars don't always fit into the big bus line. So it's created a little bit of difficulty, but again, it's gone pretty well, and I'm really proud of the effort that public health has done on that. Additional relief, this one is kind of hot off the press. President Biden just signed the American Rescue Recovery Package into law last Friday. And these are not final numbers. Right now, this is the National Association of Counties estimate, but Isanti County is potentially going to receive up to $7.8 million in this additional relief. And the categories are really similar to what the previous CARES Act dollars were, but just really responding to the public health emergency, and helping cover some of the staff time and some of the costs that we've incurred in setting up these clinics, and that sort of thing. So we do not have the IRS guidelines yet, and we do not have the exact number from the IRS. So kind of more to come on this, but this is kind of on the horizon. And this one, we do have a little bit longer time. We have until December of 2024 to spend this money. So I think it's good in the sense that we're able to wait and see what happens next with this pandemic, because at this point, nothing's really surprising me. You know, say we have a variant that needs another different kind of vaccine, or you can't even begin to predict what's going to happen in the next year. So I think it's good that we're able to assess what the needs are going to be in the county, and that we have some funding sources to make sure that we do get the vaccine into every arm of people who want it, and to continue to respond and keep people safe. So more to come on that one. So now kind of circling back to our organizational study, and I want to be mindful of everyone's time here too, but I'm super proud of the board's support in going through with this organizational study and carrying it through. So the first step was in January of this year, Penny Messer was promoted to Health and Human Services Director, or Division Leader, I should say. So that's the combination of the Public Health Department and Family Services Department. So now those services will all be provided under one roof and under one team. So we're finding that we can provide a more holistic approach to a family that's in need by knowing these other services that are offered by that other former department. In March, just this month, our IT Director, Travis Martela, was promoted to Central Services Division Leader. So that is combining our IT, GIS, and facilities. So this will just allow us to have a more comprehensive approach to any kind of facility changes moving forward. The board just this morning did a public notice. We are going through the process of having our auditor treasurer, Chad Struth, be appointed to Chief Financial Officer. Right now he's auditor treasurer, and that's an elected position. But this is a process that many counties are going through, is to have this position be internal. It's really the Chief Financial Officer for the county, so such an important position, and we're happy that he's excited to take on this new challenge. So he will oversee the Property Finance Division, which will include all of our property transaction services, assessor, some of zoning, recorder, and those offices, as well as maintaining the driver's license and passport counter as well. And the hope is that we provide more of a one-stop counter for someone who's going to be coming into the county and needing any kind of property services. So let's say you're new to the area and you want to buy some land and build a house. So right now today, you might go to one counter and they'll say, you know what, you really need to go down and see the recorder down at the end of the hall, or you need to talk to our county attorney, and you're kind of bounced around, and it's just not a great customer service model. So we're going to work to create a better process for people to navigate this system when they come in. And then the last division that we're moving toward is a potential environmental services division, and that would include parks, part of zoning, and some of those environmental services. And that one's kind of still in the initial phases, but I'm just excited that in the scope of 1 year, we're making these decisions to move forward and modernize the county services, because many of you probably know things don't move quickly in government, but taking the opportunity to really push forward and take that next step towards a more modern process with better customer service at the end of the day. We also decided to discontinue internal county transit operations, and you may have seen that was in the media a little bit. You may have seen that, but Heartland Express is no longer in existence. That was a joint powers agreement between Chisago County and Isanti County, and transit is just a really difficult department to operate internally as a county. So we did ask MnDOT to go out and solicit bids, and Arrowhead was the award winner for that. So I think a lot of the buses still say Heartland, but pretty soon they'll be rewrapped and you'll see black Arrowhead Express buses going through the county. And the exciting part about that is that you can now have the potential to take a bus to Duluth take a bus wherever Arrowhead goes, and they pretty much cover the top portion of Minnesota. So that transition just occurred on March 1st. So we have been busy. Just to kind of wrap up here, we do have continued plans for growth. Obviously, we're going to continue to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic and the economic fallout. But we're really looking for more collaboration and efficiencies, both internally and externally, just wanting to build up relationships with the cities, with the chamber, with our business owners, and just really being a partner out there and with all of you. So we're focusing on development. We're going to think of looking at new ways for economic development and continue to just look for future changes. Last thing, real quick, we are also, the board just approved today to do a facility study to look at our buildings. And like I said, we're envisioning this customer service counter, which will require a little bit of changing around of our how our offices are laid out. And so just wanting to get some help in determining what the cost might be on that and what might make sense. We also do have some potential to use some of the relief funding to create our WIC clinic out at our Oakview building where Family Services is, to get the WIC clinic established in there and as a possible testing and vaccine site as well. So we have a lot going on, but people, generally speaking, are really excited for these changes and the new opportunities that it has brought. So with that, I think I'm just under my 20 minutes, and I would love questions and any kind of feedback that you have.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Julia. That was a lot of really good information, and I've got to believe there's questions. And we do have a nice amount of time, so please feel free if you have questions to speak up with those now.
Say, Julia, I've got a question for you. Steve Fredlin, Small Business. I love your focus on collaboration. I think it's a huge part. It's really sort of the ethos of everything I'm about is about unity and bigger community vision and collaboration, all those things. So I'm really excited to see the direction that you're taking that. Hopefully the division consolidation is going to feed into that and help make it easier for those of us who want to collaborate with the county to collaborate with the county. So appreciate that. My question, and I know the guidance isn't out there yet on the 7.8 million or whatever it is that Isanti County gets. Do you have any feel for how much of that might go into small businesses other than sort of direct, COVID medical sort of things? Or is that primarily going to be the cities that are working with that? Or, kind of give me a little bit of lay of the land of what you know or what you can share at this point as far as how the small businesses could look at some of that.
Yeah, I know the small business relief continues to be a component. I think with the last round of relief that we did, we really tried to focus on those that kind of slipped through the cracks a little bit, because there's been a lot of focus on the restaurants and the hospitality industry, much, for good reason. But there are definitely other businesses that have suffered that didn't fit these kind of strict criteria that have been imposed on some of the relief. So that was kind of put on counties with this last round. We got $800,000 from the state for this last round, and I'm happy to say we got all of the 800 out the door, but we did focus on some of the nonprofits and other businesses that weren't touched yet. So definitely with this new funding, there will be, there will be some focus on small business and nonprofit. I think the challenge is just trying to identify those that have kind of been missed in this and to communicate this out to those that maybe they aren't on social media, maybe they just haven't been aware of some of these opportunities. So I think the good news is we have more time, and we can really flesh this out a little bit, and would love feedback from any of you. If you know people who own businesses that are struggling and weren't approved or didn't qualify for some of the other relief efforts, we would love to hear about that as we plan for this next set of relief funding.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Other questions, comments?
Melissa, I'll keep asking if nobody else jumps in, right?
I know, that's just fine, Steve. Thanks.
All right, I'll ask another one. How do you envision sort of, or what is your vision, I guess, for deeper collaboration with like cities and neighborhoods and communities that you mentioned? That I'd love to see again more of that. Do you have any sense? I know you're kind of brand new and you've inherited this monstrosity of a task with COVID, but do you have any thoughts on how you might try to build those collaborations with cities and other groups?
Yeah, well, so first, just internally, as we establish these division leaders, we're starting weekly core leadership meetings. So that's, I think, step one is for within our county operations to just be aware of what these other divisions are doing and what's going on and provide feedback and make good, solid decisions with the voices at those core leaders at the table. So that's kind of step one. But already, you know, I've reached out to some of our city leaders. Sheriff Culk and I had coffee last week with Linda Wolf and Evan, who will be taking over for Linda last week. And our conversation was really centered around emergency response. And I know that there are some, you know, past relationships that can get in the way, and the message was just, we need to work together. We're going to be responding to this pandemic for a long time. And if heaven forbid there's a tornado that comes through this county, we need to be sure that everyone's going to get in the same room and we're not, you know, doing our own thing and not sharing resources. And they were absolutely open to that conversation. And I think we'll just continue to, as I can get to know people and build that trust, I think it's just having those conversations, taking the time to meet for coffee and to reach out if they need something, if we need something. I think Sheriff Culk has done an amazing job of building some collaboration between the city police departments, Cambridge, Isanti, and Bram. They meet, I think, once a month, and I've attended some of their meetings just to be on the same page, which is something that, you know, I don't know was always there in the past. I think it's really just building those relationships and then working together. You know, we do one other kind of possibility that's on the horizon is the state property that used to be the state hospital along the Rum River in Cambridge. The county has a possible potential to acquire that property, and that's another monster that, you know, we need to carefully analyze and make sure if it's up to us. But I would absolutely love to see a community center go in and be built attached to that gym. And I think that's something Cambridge is also very interested in. So to the extent we can get some grant funding and not have to bond for that and put it on taxpayer dollars, I just think there's really great opportunities to build up this community and provide some more services to our youth. And I think those partnerships will be the key to see that happen. So another one that there'll be more to come on that.
I love it. Thank you.
All right. Who else? Otherwise, I bet Steve's got yet another question.
Julia, this is Jessica Bitts. Great presentation. I love seeing all the things and changes that you're doing for the county. It's amazing. One of the things that, you know, businesses do, and I don't know if counties do that or as well, is having that mission, vision, values right out in the forefront so that you're living by it day to day. Is that something that you've thought of or the county has? Yeah, the county did do a strategic planning exercise a few years ago, and you know, I think it's one of those things that was a good day and a good workshop, and we do have a mission and vision, but I don't think we're doing a great job of living it. So I think it's something that as we establish this core leadership team, we focus in on and start looking at that a little bit more closely to reestablish that and update it or potentially change it if necessary. So definitely something that we want to pursue and would want, you know, community involvement in as well. And then the other piece too, I think I could mention is the county has worked with an EDA consultant for many years, and there's nothing wrong with this consultant. However, I think we're missing the bar a little bit by not having an internal person who at least has some EDA responsibilities in their job, so that we can really have that person who's being that face-to-face contact with our business owners and kind of helping get to know them and what their needs are. Because like I said, the consultant is great, and we look at big items like broadband or the railway previously. But I think that internal local face-to-face connection is something that the county can consider maybe for next year's budget moving forward, to have someone that you all will get to know and be a good resource. That's great. Thank you.
Hey, Julia, Bruce Saylor with Connexus Energy. And you mentioned a little bit about looking for new ways for economic development, what might that look like in your eyes?
Yeah, well, it just kind of, as I said, it'd be great to have someone on staff who has a good eye on, what are the shovel-ready properties out there. When people ask, I actually had a realtor ask me the other day, hey, I have this parcel for sale. Do you know of anyone who might be interested? And it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to think, who could I share that with? But to have someone who's got a pulse on that, I presented to the East Central Regional Development Committee a couple weeks ago, and I just felt like we were missing the boat a little bit, because they, Pine County, Chisago, Kanabec even have internal EDA kind of people, and they all had these like shovel-ready sites, and they knew all the specs and all the details off the top of their head. And I was kind of like, well, I can tell you why I live here and why I like it here, but I think that's something that we would benefit from, an internal, employee having some of those responsibilities. I mean, the EDA is more of a city function, and it will continue to be that way, but we can have somebody who has at least part of their job interacting with those city EDA people, and with there's a number of businesses that are out, outside the city limits. So just as a resource for that. So I do think it's an internal position, probably, ideally, and then potentially a savings is to just not have the consultant relationship, which please don't share that yet. That's just my own vision.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Other questions? We still have a couple more minutes if you'd like. Let me check the chat. Excellent. That was a lot of excellent information, and I'm sure as we process this, there may be more questions. Following the meeting, we'll share this recording, and we will share Julia's contact information, so you can reach out and ask those questions directly, or you can always reach out to us here at the Chamber, and we will help you with any questions you might have as well. So Julia, I hope you can stay on for after the Q&A session in case anything else comes up as we continue with our conversation.
Yes,
and just
for sure.
wanted to make excellent, thank you. And just wanted to make a quick announcement. Our monthly meetings are going to continue to be held on the third Wednesday of each month. We'll be joined next month by Mayor Jim Godfrey for the State of the City of Cambridge. And that meeting will be on Zoom. We're pleased to announce that our April meeting partner is Shermick Tree Farms. And if you're interested in a future meeting partnership, please contact Vanessa or myself, and we can talk about that new opportunity with you. We do look forward to potentially returning to an in-person format in the spring, and that is under discussion right now. So stay tuned to your usual Monday mailbag and website for that information. And also wanted to put in a reminder to join us next Tuesday, March 23rd at noon for our Power Your Lunch Hour. In this 30-minute session, we will be covering Canva, which is a graphic design program, and showing everybody how to utilize that. So please join us. You can register through the Chamber website for that as well. And with that, so visit north65chamber.com for the latest information, as well as news releases about, as we mentioned, the county receiving funding and all of the different opportunities that may come as a part of the Response Act that was recently passed, and other regulations throughout the state. So just stay tuned to our website for that.